Oh yeah, Henry Cejudo. So interesting post. So Floyd had posted that he'd had a chat with a few executives, as well as Henry Cejudo had also posted a picture of him and Mayweather, and he's done some tweets and things like that. And it looks like he might be fighting Mayweather in the future, which is weird because Henry a couple of weeks back actually said, I'm coming back, right? We predicted that he was going to come back. He wasn't going to stay retired, right? It didn't make any sense. But we expected him to come back to the UFC. He's now saying, actually, I'm going to box. I'm going to be boxing Floyd Mayweather, whereas Floyd Mayweather already has a fight booked with Logan Paul. Is he just trying to get all these exhibition fights out there and done with? Because the funny thing is, I don't see Logan Paul beating Mayweather versus McGregor at all.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't see Cejudo beating Mayweather either.
I don't even know if this Logan Paul and Mayweather fight's happening now, because what's been going on is that no one's been questioning it. There's been no talks about it. None of the fighters have been coming out about it. The only thing that Logan Paul's done is that he's refused to give thought to the idea that it was because the people don't want to watch it, or that the pay-per-view buys just weren't high enough, or the other idea, because he said there was on his side, he said there was a leak inside his camp and he got pissed off because he couldn't control the narrative. And I'm like, well, what if people just don't want to see it because people think the idea is a little bit silly? The other one is maybe they're holding off because the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren fight is this Sunday and they don't want to steal any hype away from it. Or the idea that Mayweather, and maybe even though they agreed, even though the contract was signed, I mean, Mayweather's kind of like sliding away from it, because I haven't seen any talks of press conference. There's been no back and forth on Twitter between Logan Paul and Mayweather or Instagram posts. I haven't seen any footage of Mayweather training and lately.
I've seen him training. Yeah, I've seen it. He's done training. So I totally get what you mean.
Yeah.
How it gets a bit weird with the Ben Askren and Jake Paul thing. The reason why I think that is so right. So I think it wasn't trending that high. No one really gave a shit, right? What Logan Paul is doing right now is he's a bit upset, but Floyd's playing it smart. He's actually pushing the fight past Jake Paul and Ben Askren. So what they're banking on is probably Jake Paul knocking Ben Askren the fuck out, right? Tons of hype, right? And then they go, Jake Paul can crack. Logan's his older brother. Now he's going to fight Floyd Mayweather. Brings over a lot more fans over, right? The second thing I think it is while they're waiting for this fight to occur, I think it is going to occur. It's just going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
But when they're waiting for this fight to progress and Ben and Jacob bringing up this fight and, building the numbers, Logan's been doing a bunch of different appearances. So he's done WWE. He did that during, I think it's WrestleMania or something like that.
What was it at WrestleMania? He took a stunner from Kevin Owens. That was the number one trending thing on Twitter for a while.
I don't understand WWE. I don't get it. All right, and the second thing is he also went on what is it called when it's Masked Singer? He did that as well. So what he's trying to do is just be out there as much as possible and be like, hey, I also have a fight with Floyd Mayweather, right? And it just brings more people. He's trying to build the fight up as much as he can, so that they can make a shit ton of money. But look, if they're kind of banking on Jake Paul knocking out Ben Askren, the only thing that might be funny is if Ben beats Jake, they've lost that. Logan's trying as hard as he can to build up this fight. Then it makes questionable whether or not it's going to occur, because Henry Cejudo versus Floyd Mayweather might sell better. I don't know. Similar height, similar weight. Henry is probably about 135. Floyd usually sits around the 145 mark, although when he did fight Mayweather, when he fought McGregor, I believe it was 155.
Yeah.
Or 156. So it is weird with Henry because he is mainly a wrestler. However, look, if there's anyone to pick up boxing very quickly, it's Henry Cejudo. Mm-hmm. Because he might be small in stature, so is Floyd, but he's a really amazing combat sports athlete. Yeah. Amazing. And that guy's work ethic is insane. Yeah. So I think if anyone is to, pick up boxing and be fairly, eloquent on their feet and things like that, I would say it's Henry, because Henry has used boxing and karate stances in the past, not just, his flat-footed wrestling style, and he's good on the feet. He really is. I think someone like him, and he hangs around Mike Tyson as well.
Yeah.
So
Calls him Uncle Mike.
calls him Uncle Mike. I think a lot of people call him Uncle Mike. But Cejudo, you're like, look, he's someone good to keep an eye on.